Shalom, everyone. This is Kazak Eliyahu, along with George, Amakai, Yazi, as we are here once again to look into a matter. And today we are going to be looking into a couple questions. One of the questions that we had on YouTube was, can we keep the feasts in Babylon? Can we keep the feasts outside of the land? And another question that came up was surrounding where we should keep the Passover. And this should kill two birds with one stone, should answer this scripturally, these questions and more scripturally. Now, I must say sometimes when the Most High reveals some things to me, because we accept that we don't know anything and we are just allowing the Most High to lead us and we go wherever He takes us, as it says in John 3, then sometimes I myself question some of the things that have come to me. Because if there is one thing that I am afraid of doing, then that is leading people astray. That is leading people in the wrong direction. So sometimes I am led to do and say certain things. After that, I'm like, is this right? And questioning it. But over and over again, the Most High will eventually send His confirmation, as He usually does. And in these confirmations, we get the truth and then we grow with the truth. So it is with the Passover this year. For the first time, we're keeping Passover outside of the western part of the world in which we were brought up. For the first time, we are keeping a southern hemisphere Passover. And I firmly believe, that the Most High is leading us and that this is exactly the right timing of the Most High, as He has confirmed it again and again, and He will confirm it again today. So, let's begin. So the start of the new year for us was on September 16th. So the Passover would actually be tomorrow, September the 29th. So the first question is, where should we keep the Passover? Should we keep the Passover in a house? Because in Exodus 12:22, this is what it tells us. The book of Shemoth, chapter 12, verse 22. This is what it tells us. Starting at 22. Go ahead, please. 22 and 23. Up. Go ahead.
And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin, and none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning.
None of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. So we have a requirement here for this first Passover. We have the requirement for a house and we have the requirement for the two side posts. Verse 23.
For Yahuwah will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, Yahuwah will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses.
All right. Oh, into your houses to smite you. Sorry for cutting you off. All right, so we see we need a lintel. We need two side posts. We need a door. And we need a house. For the first, For the first. Because he's what? Yes. Yeah. So we need all of those ingredients for the first Passover. But that was the first Passover. What about subsequent Passovers after that? Because we know He told us in verse 23 at the beginning, for Yahuwah will pass through to smite the Egyptians. All right? To smite the Egyptians. That was a unique situation. Because in Deuteronomy 16 verse 5, it tells us what we do in commemorating the Passover. It forbids us actually to keep it in a house. Deuteronomy 16 starting at verse 5.
Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which Yahuwah thy Elohim giveth thee.
Okay. Now, in commemoration now, the house is cancelled. Because any of thy gates, the word gates there is the Hebrew word sha'ar, in its original sense, an opening, that is door or gate, city, door, gate, port. And we saw that in Exodus 12, one of the requirements is that we have a door. So now, we must not do it within any of thy gates. But where should we do it? 6.
But at the place which Yahuwah thy Elohim shall choose to place his name in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even, at the going down of the sun, at the season that thou camest forth out of Egypt.
Okay, so we must sacrifice the Passover in the place where Yahuwah has chosen to place his name there. Now this is very specific yet vague. Now we know that the place that the Most High has chosen to place his name is Jerusalem. That's what he says in the scriptures, Jerusalem. And there was the temple, and that was where they sacrificed the Passover. But what if we are not in Jerusalem? What does the Most High actually do? So we are not to keep it in our gates, but we are to keep it where the Most High tells us to keep it. And that means if you're not in Jerusalem, you have to listen to the Most High. I remember in keeping previous feasts where we were over that side of the world, we kept it in houses. But it says, thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates. Of course, we do not do a sacrifice. We do a commemorative meal, but we have to obey the commandment as much as possible. It says not within any of our gates. If not in any of our gates, then where should we do it? It means we have to be able to listen to the voice of the Most High, because he will not let us sacrifice it within our gates. We're going to see where he tells us to sacrifice it. Now, if we are not to sacrifice it within our gates, so the question from over that side of the world, can we keep the Passover outside of Babylon? So here is the dilemma that we have right now. Let's get there. Exodus 12, let's go to verse 14. Speaking about the Passover. Exodus 12:14.
And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to Yahuwah throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
So here's the thing now. It is by an ordinance forever. So when we come into the Most High's truth, when we come into the Most High's truth, and we get to understand who we are, the children of Israel, then now this is what happens to us. 2 Chronicles 6, verse 36.
If they sin against thee, for there is no man which sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them over before their enemies, and they carry them away captives unto a land far off or near. Yet if they bethink themselves in the land whither they are carried captive, and turn and pray unto thee in the land of their captivity, saying, We have sinned, we have done amiss, and have dealt wickedly. If they return to thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their captivity.
Okay, hold on there. Here is the condition for the Most High to listen to us. If we return to him with all our heart and all our soul in the land of our captivity. Now, to return to something means you go back to the original position. Isn't that so? You cannot return to where you were not. So if we return to him with all our hearts, it means that we are going to keep his commandments with all our hearts, all our minds, and all our souls. Now, he gave us a commandment, the Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, and said we should keep it as an ordinance forever. So when we wake up in the land of our captivity, in returning to him with all our hearts, we will keep these feasts as best as we can in the land of our captivity. Do we think the Most High is going to say it is a sin for you to keep the Passover in the land? When you wake up as to who you are, the Passover is for yours, and you read the book and it says you should keep it forever throughout your generations, and you are to return to him with all your heart, what else can you do but keep his feast? He is not going to call it a sin against you for being overzealous. The Most High rewards when we are overzealous. He rewards us when we are overzealous. As it says, he said, went through Hamashiach, going into the temple, beating the people. Many people will look at it and say that is sin. It is a fulfillment of the prophecy of Isaiah. The zeal of your house has eaten me up. When Phinehas killed the Midianite and the Israelite and the Midianite who were transgressing, when the Israelites went a whoring after the Midianites, when Phinehas killed both of them, he was given the reward of an eternal priesthood. His descendants will be priests to Yahuwah forever for his zeal. So in returning to him with all our hearts in the land of our captivity, yes, and we would keep his Passover because it is given to us as an ordinance forever. All right? But, so us, for example, now, what about us? Because we want to get it specific to us now. What about us who fled out of the midst of Babylon and have come here now into the land? And we have shown you, we have told you before, we are in the ancient land of Yasharal, in the ancient land of Canaan. And more specifically, right now, we are in the land of Benjamin. Okay? What about us? For those of us here, we are actually in the wilderness of the people. Let's go to Ezekiel 20. Ezekiel 20, verse 34.
And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face.
There is a word there, wilderness of the people. So we are in a wilderness, the wilderness of the people. We were brought out from the people and gathered out of the countries where we were scattered. And we have been brought into the wilderness of the people. So we saw the requirement for a Passover in a house. Can we keep Passover in the wilderness? Can we keep the Passover outside of Jerusalem? Can we keep the Passover outside of a house? So, let's go to Numbers, the book of Numbers, chapter 9, because we have been led to keep the Passover in an open field. We have been led to get out of this house and to keep the Passover in an open field. When that came to me, I never thought twice about it. And then there were objections, and the objections and concern about it. And it got me thinking, and then I started thinking, I wonder if this is right. Father, I don't want to mislead your people. Please show me and give me the understanding of this. And so this is what we are presenting here today. Let's go to Bamidbar chapter 9, Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 9, starting at verse 4. Start at verse 4. Numbers chapter 9, verse 4.
And Moses spake unto the children of Yasharal that they should keep the Passover. And they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the first month at even in the wilderness of Sinai.
Where did they keep it?
In the wilderness.
Now, some people are saying that you cannot keep the Passover outside of Jerusalem. Here we have it. In the wilderness of Sinai. And remember, Sinai was not in the land. It was outside of the land. Now, we being in the wilderness of the people, where does it say we kept the Passover? In the wilderness of Sinai. And look at the other part of it now. According
to all that Yahuwah commanded Moses, so did the children of Yasharal.
So the Most High will command to the leader of the people as to where the Passover should be kept outside of the land. Now, if you look at the meaning of wilderness there, Book of Numbers is called Bamidbar, but the meaning of wilderness here is Midbar. Midbar. And it means, in the sense of driving, a pasture. That is, open field, where the cattle are driven. By implication, a desert. Also, speech, including its organs, always come with something totally out. Desert, south, speech, wilderness. So where did the Most High lead us to keep this Passover? In a pasture. In an open field where cattle are driven. That is the place where the Most High has led us. So you see, once again, the Most High confirms his word. Outside of the land, they kept it in an open field, a pasture, and that is where he has led us to keep it. So, let me tell you, anyone who has any doubt that the Most High is leading us, please let those doubts go away, because when this came to me, I didn't know why I even said it. Just came to me that is what we must do. And at the beginning, it didn't look good at all when you started to bring in certain things, but then the Most High puts it. The last song that we sung, teach me, Yahuwah, your precepts, instruct me in your way, correct me day by day, teach me, Yahuwah, your precept. So it's the precepts that has been brought together and structured together that has brought this out. Go ahead, please.
I'm just laughing because it's how the Most High works. You just have to be in awe and amazement. Because just a while ago you read the wilderness of Sinai, and we are in the wilderness of the people. And that situation from Egypt to Canaan, between that passage was a wilderness of the people as well for them, a purging process for them as well. And I'm just here thinking the reason why we were not there so early. It was the Most High stopped us because he know that that's where we need to keep the Passover, that specific place. So he stopped us from going there too early.
Yeah.
Not only that, when you said where cattle are driven,
yes,
we used to, even by that same tree where we would go and put our stuff. Cattle would go there and we would have to drive them away.
Yes.
So I said how pinpoint it is down to the
T.
Yeah, where we had to even chase a cattle away from that specific area.
Yeah. Very, very profound and straight on point. Now, another thing also came up again with us this week, because we're showing us here that the Most High is the one who is leading this assembly. Most High is the one who is leading this assembly. Remember, many people, when you say that, oh, I see you sound like a Christian, cursing and all of that, because I keep saying that wherever the Most High's people are, and there is someone who is leading them, being led by the Ruach, it is the Most High who is leading that assembly. As long as that person is not self-seeking, as long as that person is doing the John 3:3-8, it is the Most High who is actually leading. And we're going to show that again from the book of Joshua, the account before the Passover. Because remember, this week we called for 3 days fasting before the Passover, didn't we? 3 days fasting before. We're going to see that this is totally in correlation with what happened, and it is nothing that we knew about. These things we didn't know about. It is just last night, while I was there, it was revealed to me that what we're doing matches up perfectly with the scriptures. Let's go to the book of Yahusha, the son of Nun, Joshua chapter 5, verse 1. Joshua chapter 5, verse 1.
And it came to pass when all the kings of the Amorites, which were on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites, which were by the sea, heard that Yahuwah had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Yasharal, until they were passed over, that their heart melted, neither was there ruach in them any more, because of the children of Yasharal. At that time, Yahuwah said unto Joshua, make these sharp knives and circumcise again the children of Yasharal the second time.
Okay. Make thee sharp knives and circumcise again the children of Yasharal the second time. No, he had mulled over circumcision. We had done something on circumcision already. But let's go to Romans 2:25. So we were to circumcise the children of Yasharal the second time. Let's look at circumcision for us in this new covenant. Romans 2:25.
For circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keep the law. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision.
So Shaul is telling us the importance of spiritual circumcision, which is called circumcision of the heart. The fact that you can be physically circumcised, but as soon as you break the law, that uncircumcision counts for nothing. Verse 26.
Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision?
In other words, if someone who is uncircumcised in the flesh walks out the righteousness of the Torah, then, even though he is uncircumcised, Shaul is saying that that will count as much as if he was circumcised. Verse 27.
And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee, who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law?
When he says, shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, he's speaking about those who are uncircumcised in the flesh. If they fulfill the law, they will actually judge those who are circumcised and follow the letter of the law and the circumcision, but transgress the law. So they will show them up as being wanting, even though they are actually physically circumcised. Now, verse 28.
For he is not a Jew which is one outwardly, neither is neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh. But he is a Jew which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart in the ruach, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of Eloah.
So he's not saying here that everyone is a Jew. This is not telling you about, what they call it again? What's the term for it again? Replacement theology. He's saying that you are a true Israelite. An Israelite is a true Israelite, not because they are circumcised, but when their hearts are circumcised. But he is a Jew, which is one inwardly. And circumcision is that of the heart in the ruach, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of Eloah. So, when we called for 3 days of fasting, what did we emphasize? We said a cleansing for the 3 days to make sure that we are clean for the Passover. And yesterday we had a hard session when hard words were spoken, when we took a knife and cut the hearts of those who were here, and cut the foreskins of the hearts of those who were here. Those who were not jolted, they better be jolted, because that is the similitude of the circumcision that has to take place again before we keep the Passover. Deuteronomy 10, verse 16. Deuteronomy 10, verse 16.
Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked.
Say it again, please.
Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked.
And don't be angry with me like Peter. Can you say it again, please? When Peter was asked the third time. Can you say it again, please?
Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked.
This is what the call is. Joshua taking the knife before and circumcising them a second time. The first circumcision, of course, should have been our immersion. First circumcision should have been our immersion. Now that we are actually again back in the land, the first Passover is the similitude that the Most High is playing out. Circumcision. Joshua took the knife to cut the foreskin, but this is not the foreskin anymore. It is the foreskin of our heart, so that the hearts will be circumcised a second time. Devarim 30, verse 4. Deuteronomy 30, verse 4. From verse 4 to 8.
If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will Yahuwah your Eloah gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee.
This is what he has done to us. Look at this carefully.
And Yahuwah thy Eloah will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers.
For the children of Yasharal, this is what he is doing to us. Exactly what he is doing to us. But what will the Most High do? Will he tell Joshua to physically circumcise us? Let's go to verse 6.
And Yahuwah thy Eloah will circumcise thine heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love Yahuwah thy Eloah with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live.
That's it. This is why we have had these 3 days of cleansing people, to prepare us. Those who are dirty, those who are wanting, those who have been wasting time, those who have been lethargic, those who have been in religion, those who have had strongholds. Our hearts have to be circumcised. Our hearts have to be circumcised before we can possess the land. Look at the process. If any of thine be driven out unto the utmost part of heaven, that is me. I don't know about you. From thence will Yahuwah thy Elohim gather thee. That's what he has done to me. I don't know about you. And from thence will he fetch thee. And Yahuwah thy Elohim will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed. And thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. So when Jeshurun waxed fat, we are going to wax fatter than Jeshurun, above thy fathers. And Yahuwah thy Elohim will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love Yahuwah with thine Elohim with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. So when you love him with all your heart, mind, and soul, you will actually fear him, which was one of the topics that we spoke about yesterday. In verse 7,
And Yahuwah thy Elohim will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee.
So everything will be turned around. Continue.
And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahuwah, and do all his commandments which I command thee this day.
All right, so we tell all those nations that are our enemies, you better turn around, repent, confess, and love the people of the Most High. Not just in words, but truly love the people of the Most High. After he has lifted us up and made us possess the land, he says he will put these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee. So continue hating us. You see? Continue hating us. Which persecuted thee. And many nations, foremost of whom is Edom, have persecuted us. Children of Edom, the children of Ishmael. They were the ones who first had us in slavery, the Arab slave trade. And the rest of the nations in this world who just hate us without a reason, hate us because of the color of our skin, hate us because we are under the curses and we seem to be so despicable in their eyes. Verse 8.
And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahuwah, and do all his commandments which I command thee this day.
Okay. So it is a circumcision of the heart. And we're not done. Let's go to Jeremiah 4 verse 3. Looking at circumcision of the heart. Just showing why the Most High called for a 3-day fast before the day of the Passover. Jeremiah 4 verse 3 to 4.
For thus says Yahuwah to the men of Judah and Jerusalem, break up your fallow ground and sow not among thorns. Circumcise yourselves to Yahuwah, and take away the foreskins of your heart, ye men of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem.
If not,
lest my fury come forth like fire, and burn that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doings.
So this, my people, is an ultimatum for us. And this, again, remember we were saying about the Most High. Remember we were saying when we were we're talking about the fast. We're saying that we're feeling as if this is an ultimatum. As if this, the Most High, is saying enough is enough. If you're not clean after this, then you are going to be in serious trouble. Read verse 4 again. Read from verse 3 to 4 again, please.
For thus says Yahuwah to the men of Judah and Jerusalem, break up your fallow ground and sow not among thorns. Circumcise yourselves to Yahuwah, and take away the foreskins of your heart, ye men of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire, and burn that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doing.
You see that? Serious business. Because where are we coming from? We are coming out of the midst of Babylon. Yes, we are in Babylon, but not in her midst. Because the whole world, Babylon engulfs the whole world. But being in the midst of Babylon, means being in her system, educational system, religious system, entertainment system, monetary system, job system, trading money system, because Babylon is about buying and selling. All of those things that relate specifically to Babylon. We are not in the heart of her. We only buy and sell, and we only buy. We don't even sell. We buy because we have to, until we can actually, as we are making preparations to be fully separate. Until then, we have to buy. But we are not in the heart of her, in the rudiments, having to go to work, having to do this or do that, and pay this bill and pay that bill. All right? We are not in the heart with the cares of life that comes with her, and we are not in its surfeiting, going for excess and greed and cares of life and all of those things. We are not in the middle, but we are still in Babylon. So what we just read about circumcising the heart is for us in Babylon. Verse 5.
Declare ye in Judah and publish in Jerusalem, and say, blow ye the trumpet in the land. Cry, gather together, and say, assemble yourselves, and let us go into the defenced cities.
Assemble yourselves and let us go into the defense cities. What is it saying? Gather yourselves together. That is what we have done. And that is why we tell people who are saying that they are fleeing, and they are fleeing with their family, relocating by themselves, that it is gross error. When the Most High scatters his people, Matthew 23:37.
O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not.
You see the will of the Most High? The will of the Most High is to gather the children together. Not to relocate one family over here and one family over there. That is why it says in Zephaniah 2. Should know it's coming to that. Verse 1.
Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
So it's a gathering together. Let's go back to Jeremiah 4. Read verse 5 again.
Declare ye in Judah and publish in Jerusalem, and say, blow ye the trumpet in the land. Cry, gather together, and say, assemble yourselves, and let us go into the defenced cities.
So when he gathers us together, he will lead us to a place where he will defend us. And that is what is happening. That is why he has brought us to that place that is relatively isolated. Yeah? The defenced cities. Verse 6.
Set up the standard toward Zion. Retire, stay not. For I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction.
For you people out there, I will bring evil from the north, from the land of the north. If he says he's going to bring evil from the north, so where would we be? In the north? What's the opposite of north? The south. The south. I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction. Verse 7.
The lion is come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles
is on his way.
On his way.
Mm-hmm.
He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy cities shall be laid waste without an inhabitant.
So this is when Jerusalem, before Jerusalem was destroyed. But it's the same principle. Verse 8.
For this gird you with sackcloth, lament and howl, for the fierce anger of Yahuwah is not turned back from us.
So if you go back now to Zephaniah 2, what he's actually saying, gather yourselves, assemble together, go into the defense cities. In his destruction, he always has somewhere prepared for a remnant of his people. That's why he told us to come here. And people are saying, oh, Babylon is everywhere. Why do you think you will be protected? He always has defensed cities. See it here? Jerusalem is in problems, giving problems. And he says to his people, cry, gather together and say, assemble yourselves and let us go into the defense cities. Because they are going to sack Babylon and he has cities set aside that he's going to protect them from. So if we go to Zephaniah 2 now, to show you this is the same thing again. Protection from what is happening around. Let's go back to Zephaniah 2, start at verse 1.
Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
So gathering together is before destruction. Read verse 2.
Before the decree bring forth. Before the day passes, the chaff. Before the fierce anger of Yahuwah come upon you. Before the day of Yahuwah's anger come upon you.
That is why you have to gather together in the defensed cities. Verse 3.
Seek ye Yahuwah, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of Yahuwah's anger.
And his protection is not guaranteed. It says it may be. You have a chance. It may be. So there are people now who are gathering themselves together in places wherever they want to go. Let me tell you what is happening in this world. It is a mistake, an error. Some people ask us, so are you saying South Africa is the only place you should go? Or where you are is the only place? I cannot say that, but what I can say is that we have come according to the leading of the Most High. None of us here planned this. The Most High just gathered us together and said, go to South Africa. And then he showed us exactly where in South Africa we should go, the place of stones. So we obeyed him and we came to the place of stones. Now there are people out there who are making this a business. It is so disgusting to see. Relocating people, telling people where they can find jobs for them, bringing Babylon with them, where you can find jobs and you have nice accommodation here and you can get this house. This is what $150,000 can get you, and all sorts of madness. Oh, Tanzania, I like Ghana because Ghana does this. Oh, I like Tanzania because Tanzania. You were not sent there. You were not sent there. You are sending yourself there according to the desires of your heart and according to how you seek comfort. Here we see let's go back to Jeremiah. He says, where should he say to assemble yourselves, verse 5, and let us go into the defense cities. That means there are specific cities, specific places where we are to gather, specific places where his protection is. It is not because you are in Africa, while you are protected, you have to go where? I cannot say where he has sent. Has he given you dreams, visions? Has he given you confirmations? At the mouth of two or three witnesses, a matter is established. Has he established it in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses? Or is it because you thought or you decided to go, you go? Because it has been our experience that the Most High has confirmation. Almost everything that he has done here, everything, he has confirmed it some way or form. In us coming here, he gave us 5, 6 confirmations, and after that, we start getting more and more confirmation, more and more confirmations, until we made videos, until we said, sure, it was too many confirmations, we just left it alone, and saying we're not trying to prove anything to anyone anymore. We are sure as to what he's doing. Has he brought you? Has he told you where to go? Anyway, let's continue. Verse 8 and to 10. Jeremiah 4, verse 8.
For this gird you with sackcloth, lament and howl for the fierce anger of Yahuwah.
Sorry. Do over 7, please.
The lion is come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy cities shall be laid waste without an inhabitant.
Without an inhabitant. Thy cities. So cities shall be laid waste. But guess what? In verse 1, what did he tell us? Verse 2. In, is it verse 4? Verse 4, he says, assemble yourselves and let us go into the defense cities. The cities shall be left waste, but he says, go into the defense cities. What does that mean? He has cities set aside that will be protected. That is why when we came to South Africa, he sent us to the place of stones. What do stones do? Stones are protection. Stones, protection. The defense cities were made of stones, walls of stones. And when we were moving from the place where we were, he has brought us into another place of stones. Yes? It's the leading of the Most High that we have to go by, not by the desires of our hearts. And that is why when we were moving and we were brought to different places, we did not jump to get the different places. We said we have to make sure that this is the Most High. Because it is easy to go according to the desires of our hearts. And that is why we're telling the woman, just trust us. People are getting flustered. We said, just trust us. Because we know that we are not going to go according to our hearts. We are going to go according to the leading of the Most High. So he's going to have cities that are going to be laid waste, and then there are going to be defensed cities. Verse 8 and 9 now.
For this gird you with sackcloth, lament and howl, for the fierce anger of Yahuwah is not turned back from us. And it shall come to pass at that day, says Yahuwah, that the heart of the king shall perish, and the heart of the princes and the priests shall be astonished, and the prophets shall wonder.
Yeah, so everyone shall be confounded in these times. That is why so few people are able to take this doctrine about fleeing from Babylon. So few people, they vilify it. They've even made videos out of it to mock us, calling our names, saying we are fear-mongering and all of that, and call it flee doctrine. Just a word, stop scaring the people. Not understanding the ways of the Most High. Because verse 10 says,
Then said I, Yahuwah Eluah, surely thou hast greatly deceived this people and Jerusalem, saying,
Ye shall have peace, whereas the sword reacheth unto the soul. So we are approaching the time of great tribulation. What are they saying? Just a word, stop preaching flee doctrine. Yes, nothing is wrong. We will stay here. We are okay here. It says the Most High has deceived. Why has he deceived them? And we know the teaching. When I called, they did not answer. When I spoke, they did not hear. I will give you a strong delusion that you believe a lie because you refused the truth and had pleasure in unrighteousness. So they have been deceived. So let's go back to Joshua. We were at the circumcision. Let's see if we can do it quickly. This should have been a Shabbat teaching. Joshua 5 verse 3. No, I don't know what I'm going to teach on the Shabbat. Joshua 5 verse 3. I think I know though.
And Joshua made him sharp knives, and circumcised the children of Yasharal at the hill of the foreskins.
Sharp knives. So that was why yesterday the sharp words came to circumcise the hearts. Okay? Verse 4.
And this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise all the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way, after they came out of Egypt. Now all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness by the way, as they came forth out of Egypt, them they had not circumcised. For the children of Yasharal walked 40 years in the wilderness, till all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, were consumed.
Why?
Because they obeyed not the voice of Yahuwah, unto whom Yahuwah sware that he would not show them the land,
Okay.
which Yahuwah sware unto their fathers, that he would give us, a land that floweth with milk and honey.
Okay, so let's go back again to the Ezekiel, that same chapter and sets of verses that you will have to pay me to stop using. Let's go back to them. Bread and butter. Bread and butter. Ezekiel 20, we're going to go to verse 38. Which Yahuwah swear, the land which he sware he would not give unto them, because they transgress against him. Verse 38.
And I will purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Yasharal, and ye shall know that I am Yahuwah.
This is what we are going through. That is why we tell people, if you are coming here, don't think this is a joke. If you are not willing to give up on life, to attain unto the kingdom, if you are not willing to deny everything to attain unto the kingdom, you are going to be in for a painful time. Okay? It's a place of purging that we are at. A place of purging. Let's go back now to Joshua. For the children of Yasharal walked 40 years in the wilderness, till all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of Yahuwah. If we come here and we don't obey the voice of Yahuwah, we are going to be consumed. Unto whom Yahuwah sware that he would not show them the land, which Yahuwah sware unto the fathers that he would give us, a land that floweth with milk and honey. Verse 7.
And their children, whom he raised up in their stead, them Joshua circumcised, but they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way. And it came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp till they were whole. And Yahuwah said unto Joshua, This day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you. Wherefore the name of the place is called Gilgal unto this day.
It's called what?
Gilgal.
So now, the importance of this one is that the first Passover was kept in Sinai outside of the land. Now, is it possible to keep the Passover in the land outside of Jerusalem? This is why this one is important. If we go to verse 9, Gilgal. Gilgal. Bethel and Gilgal. This was in the northern kingdom. They had not yet reached the southern kingdom, because Gilgal was in the northern kingdom. This was one of the places where they had the golden calf eventually. First Passover in the land of Canaan. This is us. This is why it's so significant. This is the first Passover for us in the land of Canaan. It's the same thing with Joshua right here. How the Most High has us living this Bible. Live and in living colors. And people out there in the West sit. And it's so disgusting sometimes. Sit there judging and talking and acting as if they are authority and everything. I just look at them and say, you don't know anything. Because we have been actually living it. What we are seeing is living it. We are in the land living the scriptures day by day and being taught day by day, because we don't know anything. We are idiots. We are not like you over there in the West who knows everything and has everything figured out. We have nothing figured out. Huh? Idiots in the sense of their standard. Because they have mocked me out. Last night I put out something. Someone was talking about Hebrews and said the Ishmaelites were Hebrews. So I said to him, no correction. Only one people are Hebrews in the scripture, and that is the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. No other descendant of Abraham are Hebrews, because that would mean the Edomites are Hebrews. That's a lie. Only the children of Israel are called Hebrews, and I shared the thing with him. The man, he mocked me, he laughed, you know that laughing emojis, he laughed at me. You have shallow understanding, you have this, and mocking me. I said, oh my. I said, did you read it? That was my response. Did you read it? He said, Ishmaelites were such and such, just one statement. Bye. And that's it. And that's it. People over the West, they think they know, they think they know, they think they know, but we don't know anything. We are being taught. We are little children being taught by our Father.
Scripture say, hate one and love the other, and he choose one out of all the nation, only one nation.
The Hebrews are those who are chosen. Okay? So we are keeping the first Passover in Canaan. Let's see what happened there. Joshua 5 verse 10. Do they have to go to Jerusalem to keep it? Joshua 5 verse 10.
And the children of Yasharal encamped in Gilgal, and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even in the plains of Jericho.
In where? In where? Where did they keep it?
In the plains of Jericho.
In the where? In the plains. Where are we going to keep the Passover? In the plains. You see, the Most High has us living this book. Where are we? In the plains. No. The meaning is Arabah, which means a desert, generally a sterile valley of the Jordan and its continuation, plain, wilderness. Same thing. That's the same place where we are going to keep it, because where we are at is semi-desert. Huh? Near a river, yeah. Yeah, near a river. It's also near a river. And the place where we're going is a land of briars and thorns. All the trees there are thorn trees, semi-desert. We couldn't do this. We didn't go and do this ourselves. It's the Most High who is leading us, people. Without a doubt. We don't have to prove to anyone. It's the Most High who is leading us. All right? Read verse 11.
And they did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the selfsame day.
So you had manna, and this was the day when the manna ceased. Verse 12.
And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Neither had the children of Yasharal manna any more, but they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year.
What is it saying? That's why we got the land to plant, isn't it? To eat of the fruit of the land. So the manna, could it be that the manna that we are getting is that food provision that the Most High has been giving us? And is it saying now after this, we'll have to eat of the fruit of the land? It was yesterday I was speaking with someone who was reminding me that it's time to prepare. We should be planting already. And I told the person that we were supposed to speak with the man for the tractor. And we forgot, eh? Yeah. So we need to find the tractor man today. I need to call Eddie in the morning. Just, to organize that. All right? So you see, people, here we go. This is a story. This is our story that you're reading right here. And this is a story in the Bible. We are actually living these things. And the Most High is leading us along the same path. First Passover in the land of Canaan. And he brought us into the wilderness, into the plain, into a field, into the place where cattle is driven to keep the Passover. So if anyone has doubt, anyone still has doubt about where we're going, I don't know what to say. All right. And this should answer the question again as to, can we keep the feast outside of the land, because the Passover is the most demanding feast. It's the most Jerusalem-specific feast that there is. And it is telling you that it can be kept outside of the land. It was kept in Sinai, outside of the land. And it can be kept inside the land, outside of Jerusalem, because some people might say, oh, so you are now in the land, but you're not in Jerusalem. You still cannot keep it. No. We gave two instances, one outside the land, one inside the land that is outside of Jerusalem. Okay? All praises to the Most High. Any comment, questions, anything like that? From the men. All right, so that's it. Thank you all for watching and or listening. Until next time, shalom.